Hard times create strong men. In this episode of Team Superdad, there's a reality check, and getting through tough times is really the only option. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. Let's roll with the show.
Welcome to Team Superdad. Real dads creating their best lives ever. More time, more money, more fun. You are not alone. You're on Team Superdad.
Hey dads, welcome to the weekly live or the podcast, depending on how you're tuning in. My name is Johnny Jensen, founder of the Team Superdad community and the Hero Academy program, and host of the Team Superdad podcast. It's great to have you here. We're on season 4. You can go back and listen to all the other varied shows over the last couple of years. And you can comment live on this as we're tuning in today. I will remember to keep looking at you in the eye. Depending on where you're at, most of the socials allow you to comment into this live, and I will see it, and we can bring you into the show and answer your questions. Let me know where you're at, what you're up to, and if you missed the live and you're listening to this, then make sure you subscribe, share, and all the other business to promote the Team Superdad message. We are motivating modern dads to create the life they desire, to really take control and be the man and dad they want to be. Too many men are just feeling lost, out of control. They're working hard, but things aren't working out. Like life is running through their fingers. It's a modern day syndrome. We don't have enough fun. The relationships that are most important to us start to creak. And this ultimately, whether it's a relationship breakdown, a business breakdown, some level of emotional cracks, health cracks, or ultimately the shocking rate of male suicide, this isn't how it should be. And we, as men, as friends of each other's, as brothers, fathers, sons, it's our responsibility to take control and create not just a life for ourselves, but the life for people around us, for our children, of course, our families, but as legacy to the communities and generations to come. This episode, where have I been? Where have I been? It's been a tough year. That's one of the hardest things I had to come to terms with this week, was accepting that the challenges of 2023 are hard to admit. As a coach, as a leader of a community of men, one of the hardest things to do is be real about the challenges that are going on. And the irony of that is that it's actually exactly what I should be doing, to keep it real, to the idea to pretend that nothing bad is happening. No, there are no challenges is ridiculous, because we're all going through them. Whether you're the president of or a prime minister of a country, whether you're the CEO of a massive organization, a multinational, like the challenges might be bigger. There might be a forest fire that puts smoke across 2 entire countries, a drought, a flood. It could be, Richard Branson, I saw a few months ago, his galactic space thing blew up. And this month it successfully launched, so there in itself are the highs and lows. And for us to realize, no matter what scale, no matter what position we're on that scale, we are all men. We are all leading our family, leading our business, trying to maintain our health and our mental well-being and our financial well-being, maintain our friendships. It's the same shit. Different flavor maybe, but it is the same shit. And in my job, in my role, there's always, whether you're making reels, posting content, doing a live, there's always the idea that it's got to be high energy and full of positivity. Everything's about success, but that's not reality. That's not true. I've got an ex-wife, I've got 2 children, I've got a business, I've got a girlfriend, I've got an elderly parent, elderly relatives. I've got friends who are going through challenges. I've got friends that die, in questionable circumstances, and the impact of that on a community, on a circle of friends. Loss in itself is a challenging thing to master. My own fitness, feeling motivated. If you've been on this journey with me, seeing where I was at 2 years ago in terms of my physical strength was incredible. But then for the body to just break and have to not just put myself back together, but then find the motivation to get fit again, it's been incredibly tough. And it's difficult to admit that. But then what I realized this week as I was reflecting and thinking about, we if you go to teamsuperdad.com/hero, there's a new landing page for the Hero Academy. And it's about tightening up that message to attract the right kind of men into it. And it's no different than any business. It's no different than anyone, whether you're running the business or you're employed in the business. We've got to get customers. We've got to look after those customers. We've got to deliver a great service. We need to do it all again. The highs and lows. And that's the message of today's live, is that the highs and lows are inevitable. The current climate economically, you get all these people, I don't know, just calling in, the crisis, the credit crunch. It's not so much the credit crunch, but it's the cost of living crisis this time. Credit crunch was last time. But there you go. That's the whole point. 8 years ago, 10 years ago, it was the credit crunch. And now we're in a cost of living crisis. What's the cause of it? Who's responsible? Which politician should we vote for? Well, is it the war? Is it the global warming? Is it do you know what it is? It's just inevitable. You have a good time and then you have a tough time. And the ability to weather the tough time with the confidence and clarity that after a tough time comes the good time will get you through the tough times. Of course, you can make adjustments. Rocky Balboa, I think it's, if you go in the chronological order, we're talking about Rocky VI, the Balboa movie, one of the greatest movie quotes, I think, of all time. Where can I share that in? I can, I think. Stop cam, present, share screen. Here we go. Let's try this. That's not the one. That one will take bloody hours.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. Let me tell you something you already know.
Brilliant. Oh, come on.
The world ain't all sunshine.
There we go. That movie quote, Jago, my boy, he learnt it for a school recital. You had to everyone had to learn something and go in and do a recital. To paraphrase some of that, life ain't all sunshine and rainbows. That we know, right? It's a mean and nasty place. That is also the reality. There is shit around every corner. But there's, just like day follows night, just like yin and yang, if there's shit around every corner, there is miracles and magic around every corner. And we can't be deluded enough to think that that the bad times aren't going to happen. But you can't be sullen and negative to the point where you don't expect good stuff to happen. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how many hits you can take and keep going. And that is also really important, because you could be the best at anything. You could be the strongest at anything. But if you can't take one setback, if you can't take a bad quarter at work, or your relationship struggling, if you can't take an injury that trashes your whole 2 years of fitness, if you can't deal with your kid having a bad time at school, kind of confident that it's going to get better down the line, those are the kind of challenges that we all face, no matter how big and important we are or how everyday guy that we are. It's how hard you can get hit and keep going. And then the third part of it is not pointing fingers and blaming others. Ultimately, whatever we're going through, what we can be responsible is the most important thing. Where we can be responsible is the most important thing. What we can be responsible for. Having some patience, having some focus, having clarity, involving the right people. These are the elements of the power code in action. And when you have that, right, and you have that clear sense of purpose, and when you're taking responsibility and not blaming others, when you're being organized and planning your work, when you're doing what needs to be done on a day-to-day basis, keeping that routine in place, good habits, the consistency that builds results, trusting in the journey, being organized, putting the right people around you, going out and finding mentors and advocates, supporters, peers, being close to your family and friends. That is the foundation, the substance of how you keep your head above water and even thrive. And then the fun part of it, the reward, is that knowing whatever's going on, good times and bad times, it will pass. The highs will follow the lows will probably follow the highs. Hard times create good men create good times create weak men. Okay? Weak men create hard times. It's a cycle. Everything's a cycle. And the more you can tune into that, the more power you have over it. The more you can be clear and confident, self-assured, resilient, and you know that you will weather this storm and move on to the other side. And likely, with the lessons you've taken from that, become even better person, an even stronger man, someone who's even clearer about what they're doing on this rock flying through this universe. And that's what the people around us need to see. That rocky thing ends with, and that's what cowards do, and you're not that. And that goes for you. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you see yourself struggling during a tough time, you've got to look at, who are you being? What am I doing in this situation to make this better? Because when you fall on your sword and blame others and woe is me and it can't be fixed, that's cowardly. And there's a lot of flack around for the expression manning up, but a modern man manning up, yes, man up. Take it on. Do what is needed to get the result that you desire, to move through the tough time into the good time. Because you can be sure, for every person having a tough time, there's someone else having a good time. And the roles will be reversed at some point. Take power and strength in that. This reality check for me of accepting what a difficult time 2023 has been, and realizing where things are slightly off, where the consistency's out, where I'm not going to bed at the right time, where I'm not drinking enough water, where the workouts aren't happening on a regular basis, where I'm not talking to my friends enough. The answer, the reasons ultimately end up being obvious. And that's what you've got to be prepared to do as well. And when you're working with a group of people, when you have your coach and accountability around you, when you're getting new input to crank up your knowledge, to sharpen the sword, that's the drive and that's the engine that you can put into your situation. So you have to take responsibility. Getting through a tough time is on you, but not on your own. Just like this video today, just like this live today, it's an acceptance of, I can't do it on my own. I can't pretend that it's all okay. Because the more you try and do it on your own and pretend that it's okay, the lonelier it gets, the darker it gets. Isolation is not a good place. Solutions are harder to come by on your own. When you put all this, when you lay all this out on the table and realize it, you'll start to see where you're doing it wrong and doing it on your own and doing it without clarity and doing it without power. And you start to consider, well, what would it look like if I put that in place? The vision, the routine, the people, taking ownership of my responsibility and mindset, having fun whilst we're doing it. What difference would that make? And that is what it's all about. And that's what it's about for me in sharing this today. It's accepting that the leader of a community, that someone who's laying down the gauntlet and rising and challenging people to rise up, There has to be truth in that as well so that you can believe it. There has to be an understanding that we're all in this together. And when you can be that for yourself, you can be it for your partner. You can be it for your children. You can be it for your business colleagues, for the people that work for you. It is a responsibility that you have to step into. And if you don't, well, that's okay. You'll get what you get. You'll probably get along. You'll live as long as you do. And then it will be game over. But that's the whole mission. It's a certain amount of time to get a certain amount of stuff done and have as much fun as possible whilst we're doing it. That's the journey around this rock. And if you want to leave a legacy, great. If you want to change the world, great. But it's the same solution. So I hope, as I'm honest and truthful and real with you today, and you see this, you get to be honest and truthful and real with yourself. The answer is out there. It's not in here, right? Get out there and make it happen. It's exciting. Don't do it on your own. Get yourself over to the Team Superdad group. That's at teamsuperdad.com/group. You can, when you put your details in there, you'll get a welcome message, and I'll send you an invitation to book a Super Dad discovery call with me. And part of that, I will invite you to come and be part of the next Hero Academy intake. If you want to see more details of that, go to teamsuperdad.com/hero. Leave your comments below. Let me know how this has resonated with you. What have you taken from this? What are the lows you've had this year, and what are the highs you're looking forward to? And you know what? In amongst those lows, what are the highs you've had? My week in France with Joe, my daughter getting her scholarship at secondary school, my dad's 80th last week, finishing 8th overall, 4th in my age group on the Dirty and Rotten Scramble, Joe and I doing high rocks in under 90 minutes. There's a lot of sitting and watching Ted Lasso with my 2 kids and laughing together. Like, even in the lows and the challenges, there are many, many highs. So notice them, take stock and confidence from them, and keep moving forward, because that is how winning is done. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Subscribe, share, like, do the business to spread the word, and come and get yourself involved over at Team Superdad. Team Superdad out.
This has been Team Superdad. Find us at teamsuperdad.com. Join the program and create the best life ever for you and your children. You are not alone. You're on Team Superdad.